Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The time is 6:04 p.m., March 13, 2024, here at the Laredo City Council Chambers. I'm calling to order the City of Laredo Port of Entry Advisory Committee meeting. Going to roll call. Mónica Salinas,
Here.
Carlos Fernandez,
Here.
Jesús Olivares,
¿Me puedo sentar?
J.D. González, absent. Orfelio Quintanilla,
Here.
Luis Hinojosa,
Here.
Rick Laurel, Arturo Dominguez, Emilio Richer, out of town, Jean Lingred, here. Rodolfo Garza is going to be absent. Jorge Cavazos,
Here.
Jason Hinojosa, Gerardo Maldonado, and David Puig. Let the record show that a quorum of the committee members is present, that this meeting is duly called, and that the notice of the meeting was posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. On Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Public citizens' comments? No, none?
No public comments.
Alrighty, going forward. Motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jean? Monica, second. Any comments, questions regarding the minutes? Everybody fine with?
Yep.
Motion to approve?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Items for discussion. No estamos nadie, ¿eh? Discussion with possible action to nominate and elect chairman and vice chair of the Port of Entry Advisory Committee and any matters incident thereto.
Bueno.
Do we have any nominate?
I'd like to
Nominations?
nominate myself for president, chairman, please.
Nomination, Mr. Laurel. Any other nominations? Nominaciones, nominations? I'll nominate Mr. Martinez Quintanilla for co-chair. Anybody else?
Who is Martínez Quintanilla? Oh.
Orfelio. En realidad es Martínez primero y luego
Oh.
Quintanilla.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yo mero.
Anybody else? So we take a vote? Chair, Mr. Laurel and co-chair, Mr. Quintanilla. All those in favor, discussion, all those in favor?
But we need to make a motion to propose both chairs, or?
Correct.
Yes,
Pues
we
ya
need a
I
motion.
propose, yeah. Bueno,
So who's
pues
making the motion?
yo les dije.
Ah.
I was making the motion.
Arturo made the motion.
But I was making the motion for Mr. Laurel to be chair and Orfelio to be the co-chair.
The co-chair.
Oh, yeah. Any discussion?
No discussion from mine.
And-
second.
Somebody has to second
I'll
first?
second. Second, Jean.
I wish there was.
Any other
I wish
comments?
I wish there would be more people here on this, because I don't want it to look.
It's okay.
It's
You're
okay.
gonna be the only nominee.
No.
The most important ones are here, so.
So any discussion, call for the vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Ahora sí. Update on the City of Laredo legislative trip to Washington, any other matters incident thereto. Ms. Limon was the one that asked me for this agenda item so that we can all speak, whoever was in Washington. But she's not even here, she's in Mexico City
Chairman,
attending one of the
members of the
meetings.
committee,
Yes.
Ms. Limon is out on travel right now. She's in Mexico City on a BBB XG meeting. She's due to be back in Laredo Thursday evening, and she'll be back in the office Friday morning.
Jean, do you wanna comment?
I can talk for a minute.
Sure.
So there were several folks from the private sector complementing the City of Laredo's delegation. There were approximately 25 people from the private sector that were arranged through the Laredo Chamber of Commerce and the Laredo LEDC. And it went very well. That was my third, and others that have gone for years and years have said this may have been one of the best trips as well. So I guess I can say personally, I went to the breakfast briefing meetings. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce had a great session. Department of Interior, a meeting with the Department of Agriculture, U.S. Trade Representatives, Mexico Embassy, U.S. Department of State, an event with Senator Ted Cruz, an event with U.S. Congressman Henry Cuellar, an event with U.S. Senator John Cornyn, the Laredo Day event. Those are just the ones that I went to, and then we divided and conquered because there were other meetings with EPA, Department of Transportation, the embassies of Japan, France, Canada, did I mention Mexico? I guess I would like to say that just about every meeting that I went to and others where we had both City of Laredo officials and private sector, we tried to be the squeaky wheel in a lot of ways, of course, for funding, for infrastructure and bridges, and presidential permit approvals for the World Trade Bridge, an update on the Columbia Bridge with the State Department. Interesting tidbit that came out of the meeting with the State Department is they reminded the contingent that was there that February 9th was the date that the application for the presidential permit was deemed complete, and that their 60-day clock for a recommendation to be turned over to the White House is 60 days after that. So April 9th is their date, although they did verbally say it will likely be sooner. They did not tip their hand on if it will be a positive recommendation or conditional or anything like that, but they said the recommendation will be coming soon.
Just let the record show that Mr. Gonzalez, Jose David Gonzalez is present. Go ahead, sorry.
And no, that's about as much detail I think I can provide right now. Anybody else who was there would like to provide some information or some questions for me, I'm available.
I guess, JD, you want to mention anything about the Washington trip?
It was a good trip.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for the update.
If you want to make any comments, any highlights, or what you thought was good.
No, good conversation. We talked with Customs, has more anything else. But other than that, I think successful. I'm involved with the Chamber and LEDC, and they kind of did a lot of the organizations. So appreciate the efforts that they provided, as well as, Andrew. And I'm forgetting your name. I don't want to, but yeah, that group. Thanks.
I was there also. I think it were good meetings. They all took notes, which is a good sign when you go to Washington and they take notes. And basically one of the highlights and the squeaky wheel was more the Mexican system, that we needed help, and Majada was gonna write a letter to the president that they need to fix that problem.
Pero no es solamente el sistema.
Habla recio para que te hable.
Perdón. Digo, no es solamente el sistema. Yo he mencionado que existe un déficit de recursos para el personal. Y eso hace que no estén abiertos todos los módulos.
Porque parece que los viernes es cuando se cae el sistema. Eso es lo que les comentamos, y el embajador Moctezuma tomó notas, escuchó a todos lo que teníamos que decir. Y claro, ese era uno de los temas más altos de todos, las filas, y que un día llegó hasta TAMIU, hasta el aeropuerto, y pues eso no era aceptable, ¿no?
Sí, obviamente cuando se cae el sistema se ve el caos. Pero aunque no se caiga el sistema, vemos filas muy largas. Para mí es preocupante que no estemos aprovechando el 100% de la infraestructura que tenemos. Entonces creo que es importante ver la falta de recursos que existen, o sea, cómo apoyar en ese sentido, para que las instalaciones, la infraestructura con la cual se cuenta actualmente, trabaje al 100%.
Técnicamente son dos problemas. O sea, el mantenimiento del sistema, que
que falla y es un caos. Y sí, un segundo problema, en menor tamaño, es falta de personal.
Pero uno es al nivel federal y otro es local, ¿no?
No, los dos
O los dos serían
Los dos son federales.
federales.
Los
Before we get
recursos-
further, I see that's an item 4, we get jumping ahead to item 4, is this just discussion that we're having on that?
We already jumped into item number 2 for discussion.
Yeah, but item 4 says discussion on contingency plans for the city.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll talk about the contingency.
I think that's what the discussion is right now, unless we wanna jump it, right?
We'll jump into that one. Discussion with possible, I'll move on to the next item so we can get there and finish up faster. Discussion with possible actions to add the following association, Agentes Aduanales de Colombia and Nuevo León, of the Port of Entry Advisory Committee bylaws under Article 3 and any other matters incident thereto. Basically, it's adding a representative from la Asociación de Colombia to this committee.
They have voting rights or just,
No, they don't have voting rights. Mexico doesn't have voting rights, but they can comment. And now that we're gonna have the Colombia expansion, I think we should bring them in so they can say whatever comments they would like to say.
I agree.
I agree.
Motion,
motion?
Second?
Oh, please, no, Mr.
motion
Luis.
by Mr. Gonzalez and second by Mr. Hinojosa. Any discussion, debate? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous.
My apologies if I came in late, I don't know, was it just, I'd like to go back to item 1, was it?
We already
Chairman,
did.
We already voted, like,
Is it done?
We have a chairman, Mr. Laurel, and we have a co-chair, Mr. Martinez.
All right,
Quintanilla.
congratulations.
Congratulations.
Sorry, man, I was trying to make it in time.
You could always blame the train, bro. The train.
I did. Mentally.
Chairman, question, since you did a voting already and you got a new chairman and a new vice chairman, do you want to switch them out?
We'll finish the
Or do you
meeting.
wanna
We'll
finish?
finish the
We'll
meeting.
yeah.
We'll finish the meeting.
All right.
And so we'll move to the agenda item that we're all discussing. Discussion with possible action on a contingency plan for the city of Laredo when the Mexican system is down and any other matters incident thereto. Who wants to talk about this first?
I think we already had
Where we're left
discussion.
off, right?
Yeah, go ahead, I'm
Where
sorry.
we leave off? Who was speaking?
Luis?
Luis?
Problema federal y luego.
Yeah, I was suggesting that, yeah, this is a federal issue, adding more inspectors or more personnel to the bridge, the customs, so it is a federal.
It is federal.
Decision, yes. Each port has their own budget and, but it's authorized from headquarters.
So lack of personnel.
Now, will that, does that have anything to change with the, lo que dicen la aduana se va a venir a Laredo, a Nuevo Laredo?
Well, that's the headquarters,
Is it-
that's an operation and the other one is.
Bueno,
Yeah,
sí.
you can help.
But is it two different things, or is it the same, or, I'm sorry if I asked.
No, no, ANAM es la central, o sea, es el headquarters.
Sí.
Entonces, el que esté más cerca, pues creo que sí ayuda, porque se dan cuenta de los altos niveles, se dan cuenta de los problemas. Y creo que eso, mi opinión es que sí va a ayudar mucho,
Okay.
mucho, pero...
They don't take the decision, but I think it's gonna be,
But they're influential.
yeah, a good influential
Good.
for asking more.
El cambio que vamos a ver es que van a estar más cerca del puente. La interacción va a ser la misma, ¿no? La necesidad de
Sí, pero
lo que es la aduana se la piden al ANAM, pero ahorita la ANAM está en la Ciudad de México. Al
Pero-
estar aquí cerca, bueno,
Pues lo
se
tienes,
entiende
lo
que sí.
van a tener aquí en
no toman decisiones
por
en
lógica.
cuanto a
Sí.
la decisión económica, pero ellos, si ven el caos que se está haciendo, es un beneficio que van a empujar para bajar más recursos, porque ven la problemática.
Yes.
No es lo mismo estar en México y no ver la problemática, estar aquí realmente ver.
No,
Y a lo mejor sentarlos en alguna junta.
Se supone que para antes de terminar ese sexenio se debería estar aquí, ¿verdad?
O sea, por sentido común va a mejorar porque van a estar más
Sí,
cerca, pero
Bueno,
realmente no tendrías que estar aquí para
debería.
sacar un video, pasar un reporte y atender un problema, pero por sentido común sí va a mejorar.
Bueno, en Washington lo que sí les pedimos era que nos ayudaran con el sistema. Es la primera vez que oímos sobre el personal. Y bueno, eso sería ya.
Question on that.
Yo no sabía nada del
Pues
personal.
de hecho
Estaba
en la
diciendo
última
de que
junta
te
lo
conozco.
mencionó de los módulos.
Claro,
Sí, sí.
El personal.
sí.
Pero cuando está caído, ¿cómo lo
Mira,
puede ayudar cuando está caído?
Hay dos situaciones. Bueno, cuando está caído,
Ese es donde estamos pidiendo
Es
solución,
tecnología.
contingency plan. Porque
Sí.
pues, estamos hablando de personas, pero eso es de otro
So
tema.
I think we're talking about a problem that we cannot control, which
We
is
can.
Mexican customs.
We can't
No,
control it.
not Mexican customs.
No, we can't on the US side, I'll tell you why.
Yeah, I said Mexican customs.
Yeah, but it's related to
This,
that.
but this is to come up with a contingency plan for Laredo, Texas, our police department, our fire department, or whoever is gonna be controlling it. Whether the system doesn't have modules, whether the system doesn't have enough people, whether the system goes down on Fridays, holidays, whatever it is, the system we cannot control. The amount of people that Mexican Customs puts, we cannot control.
Hey, Chairman,
If you're going back to the point is we have to come up with a contingency plan when it does happen.
Well, and this is my thought, I've been already having discussion on this because everybody keeps on talking, or I've heard discussions, especially when we're in DC, you know, what do you call it, control release?
Conditional release.
Conditional release. But the thing about it, in Mexico, you can't do it because they don't have that bonding system. So it goes back to the city that should be taking action. And I know it's a hard stance and a hard position that I'm gonna suggest, but the fact is once the system goes down, especially, I don't know what time frame we can give it, like in Mexican, US Customs is a 2-hour window. On the Mexican Customs, it goes down because that line fills up quick. If we go up there a 1-hour window, we have 2 exit plans. Number one, on Mines Road, there's that 1 exit that you go off and that you can start getting the trucks off, otherwise it gets saturated. Once it goes to 35, we should stop all traffic until the guys to go back because they can get off on that 1 exit, go back to their warehouses and wait till the system goes back up. If not, because the city would have to control that. We can't, like you said, we have zero control of Mexican Customs. Until we can get that system back up, then we can get back in line. And I heard, the city officials say, well, we don't wanna say the bridge is closed. But it's closed. I mean, it is closed. The fact that aesthetics that we're gonna sit there.
And you don't have to
Excuse me, hold on a
say,
second. Let me
you don't
finish.
have to say that the bridge is
Yeah,
closed.
let me finish first. And then, and so with that being said, you know, this is just the plan, I mean, just a suggestion. It all depends on us and also discussing with the Mexican trade stockholder because it affects them directly. But we get those 2 stops and then I don't know, one of the other comments was made, well, they lose their place in line. Whenever the system goes back up, Mexican Customs makes arrangements to continue crossing for the rest of that merchandise, the rest of their clients to start processing. So it doesn't matter what position they are in line because they're gonna get back in the same line and go across. It's just a suggestion that I've been making, passing along, but I know even the mayor said, well, we gotta discuss it. So I'm hoping, you know, we can get on board until after they come up with a solution nationwide where they do some statutory changes and they say, you know what, we can create something, a holding yard or some kind of a process. That's just a suggested solution for right now, just to avoid the buildup in the traffic because it is a danger for the society and for the citizens here in the US.
Chairman, and I'm not sure which chairman.
Go ahead. No,
Go ahead.
he's still chairman.
And so everybody's right, there are 2 different things. One is prevention of the issue, and so we being the squeaky wheel, the advocacy, the escalation of the issue to the Mexican and US government agencies, right? That's one thing we did in Washington, we'll continue to do it here. And the other one is the activation, a formalization of how do we react as a community, right? And so we're talking about, is there a certain amount of time before we activate a contingency plan that we should have some input into, right? Like Mr. Lodal said, a communication plan, road closures, traffic, fire, police involvement. And I think that's where we ought to focus this discussion on now.
So, you know, when talking to friends that are brokers, international trade constituents, everybody, it all comes down, I think, to not time, but physical location of the line. Like, how long is the line? There should be a physical barrier that says, if you get to 35, then it's time to shut it down. Because if you give it time, 2 hours can get to TAMIU really quick. If it's shut down 100%.
That makes sense.
It should, I think that it should be, that we should use it as a landmark instead of a time frame. Because we're talking about a lot of trucks and in a very short period of time can accumulate very fast.
It has to be a way where you can flush, that there's an exit that you can flush everybody out.
In the three exercises, you have, the first one is on Mines Road, the next one's I-35, and then you go back to the other one on International. So you gotta find one of those exit spots to develop your caution line and then your stop line. So you got, just to work and say, okay, once the caution line comes in, you start sending enforcement, and saying, okay, we start slowing down the traffic and getting up there. But then we have to, like Gene said, establish a time frame. And on the US side, and take consideration Mexican Customs, they have their own arrangements, and I know one of the complaints was, the lines are long on the Mexican side, but the system's still up. It's just a vetting process. But on the US side, when it goes into Mexico, we should create that one stop, the caution, and then the stop. But then that's something that we have to work and develop between ourselves and have city council
So
either
there's-
listen to us on that.
So after the 35 loop intersection, there's two off ramps. There is the 35 off ramp, and if you go farther east,
On my drum.
there's east. We're talking about east of
One
35.
on International.
East of 35, which is, yes, you get down to 35, and then the next one over is International. So those, International, I think, would be like the farthest
Yes.
that we should go or could go because it is
And you go into the
highway
commercial traffic.
structure.
And not even, because you have traffic coming in, at doctor's hospital, level. I mean,
Yeah, but you can still
Yeah,
take
but
access roads to
yeah.
get there.
yeah, but if you're a citizen coming from Mines Road on top, or on top of the loop, or coming from Tamiyu on top of the loop, you're already gonna have
Yeah, but
like,
that's why we have the
Well,
access roads. We'll have
unfortunately, the barrier that we do create will affect the citizens. The citizens will have to reroute and take Shiloh, Las Cruces, Mines Road, some other form to get to the Mines area through 35 and not through the loop side. Unfortunately, they're gonna be affected that time, but it's better than getting stuck in between all those trailers for
One thing
hours.
is, I know that we're having the US brokers talk. How about the Mexican brokers? What's your thought? They're the ones that gotta really control this, you know?
But I really think that we have to have TxDOT, LPD to come with the system that is gonna be
The
created.
officials, yeah, the authorities that make decisions to understand what we can do, because we're probably talking something, and if they say, no, what, we can't stop traffic, or we can't put a landmark because of whatever reason, I mean, but if they sit down here and we talk about the problem, I mean, they'll let us know what we can do, we can do.
Who would like to sit with the LPD and who would like to meet?
Well, I think we should leave that to city council to do that on their own.
We just make a recommendation.
of
What
course.
we're gonna come up with is just our wish list.
Yeah.
And let city council deal with their
Talking
department
about
heads
city
independent.
Those, no.
Maybe I'm sorry, we
I
should.
think you have gonna have less casualties if you do the stop on 35 because there's a lot of traffic coming from mile marker 13.
Yeah.
So if you go beyond 35, then what are you gonna do with those trucks coming from the north? So the line should go, in my opinion, on the access road, southbound lane on 35. You will have less people affected if the line builds up all on the access road all the way to the checkpoint.
yeah,
Except for our bike riders, right?
Yeah, it says back, you're right.
and the reason it's because maybe I didn't explain myself. Like when you're as truck, you are coming from Mines Road to get in line. So if you stop on
Oh.
35, because I'm using that road to go to I don't know, whatever place I go. So I'm coming from Mines Road, and sometimes the trucks are already stopped, like in Doctor's Hospital, and you cannot get off or in to the access road coming from Mines Road because they are already
They're
like
already
in line to get the exit on International and Loop 20.
So,
So they would have to flush all of those people out.
so I think,
Go
I
back
think,
to
I think like Gene said, there has to be a point of yeah, we shut it down, but also a communication thing where it's like, I don't know how or what communication systems the city might have besides the obvious emails, phone calls,
You put that
public,
sign out like
public
they have over
service,
here, wherever the-
public service announcement, but to say, don't send anymore. Because that day, we saw the line, and we saw the line grow, and we saw the line grow, and they kept on sending and sending and sending and sending. So it was, at a certain point, it's gonna affect the transfer companies, but they need to stop sending trucks. Because then you're gonna have trucks circulating, so many trucks, all those trucks are gonna be moving in the city. And there's no areas that, the trucks are gonna start driving through McPherson where they shouldn't be. The trucks are gonna start driving through Shiloh where they shouldn't be. And areas of the city where it's no cargo should be driving through. Why? Because there is no outlet for them to go. They need to get on the bridge to cross, and that's easy for them to do it when the system's working. But as soon as you shut it down, like they're gonna start going into the city. Because they don't have anywhere to go.
But besides the trucks, the issue there was a lot of people stuck in the traffic. They couldn't get out of there. There was cars in between the traffic. And so you have to flush them out. I mean, I think I agree with Luis that it should be all the way to 35, and that's it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
we should talk to councilmen and women and have try to have an ordinance. 'Cause at the end of the day, I mean, it's business, and at the end of the day, as custom broker, the customers, I mean, your time stops whenever you dispatch the truck.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, and you don't. I don't care if it's done or not. You send it to the line. But if there's an ordinance that when this happens and it gets to 35, we have an ordinance by the city that you can't send nothing to the line. Then you have backup and then you can show your customer. And then you
Sí,
can show.
de tener la salida de los camiones sería la solución, pero es difícil porque además estas caídas del sistema son intermitentes. Se cae el sistema y luego regresa, y cuando regresa, pues de estar parado en una calle o de estar parado en la bodega, pues todos, no nada más los transportistas, también el
Sí, claro.
cliente es vete formando porque la mercancía urge.
Así es.
Y por otro lado, no hay dónde parar tantos camiones, no hay dónde.
Pero como contamos, debe de tomar un tiempo. Si está caído por 2 horas ya, o un tiempo, 1 hora, todo depende de qué tan largo se empieza a crecer la línea. Y ponen, ¿sabes qué? Se paran ahí cuando está caído por tiempo largo, ¿me explico?
Sí.
No con los cortitos, porque sabemos que se cae, se sube, se cae, hay veces y cuando, pero como quieras, hay como tocó este día que estaba caído un solo día aparte, todo el fin de semana y luego
No, ahí
el lunes
sí.
el día festivo.
Y pasar, pues, se va a quedar 20 minutos
Sí,
o 2 días.
ese es el
pues,
problema.
está canijo, ¿no?
Sí, pues
I
pasa
honestly
el
think
35.
that I-35 is a very short barrier.
Sure.
It's very small.
When they designed that bridge, and because of what we had experienced here on 35, they created a queuing from where you hit the bridge, and because
Inside.
it's not a straight route,
Yeah,
it kind of
inside,
goes,
yeah.
because you could park 200 trailers to get to the first
El
street
del lado
of Laredo.
mexicano.
That would be Mines Road back then,
Yeah.
and that was 200 trailers. So, all the way to 35, you'll probably have another
Well, what-
50, 60 more trailers.
Del lado mexicano también hay una manga que le llaman
Ah.
y está cerrada, no se
Pues lo
utiliza.
bueno del lado mexicano es que no afecta a la ciudad en ninguna manera, porque
Está
está
afuera,
tan
sí.
desviado el
Sí.
puente que...
Pero para la carga que va hacia México, la que se forma del lado americano, existe en el puente del lado mexicano una manga que le llaman precisamente para amortiguar la fila. Eso también puede ser una medida para
Con el crecimiento del loop.
reducir.
¿No se puede hacer algo? Ahorita están ampliando el loop, ¿no?
No, pues ya hay muchas casas.
Ah, no.
Ya hay muchas casas alrededor.
So
Ay, no hay para dónde tengo.
No, pues la solución sería un estacionamiento.
Para 7,000 camiones. O sea, te
Digo.
recomiendo, ¿no?
Lo van a querer que se caiga el sistema más seguido. Sí, ¿cómo?
algo cerca
Y luego,
de-
¿quién lo va a pagar? Y luego, ¿quién va a cobrar? ¿Y
So,
quién va a mantener?
Richard,
¿Y va a donar un terreno o algo?
I have a question, Richard. Richard, where
Tengo,
Palo
¿cómo
Garza
lo
is at, there's a big lot inside the compound.
That is correct.
Has there been any plans to sell it or do something with that thing?
As of right now, we have no plans on that whatsoever.
Not that you know of.
That's inside by the export lot?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a huge piece of property that can be used maybe as a parking lot, but I don't know how many trucks you can fit in there. But
I don't
we
have
would
the
have to-
information on the exact size. I would be guessing if it's 8 acres, 10 acres there. I did want to mention and add to y'all's conversation on that day that that Mexico system went down. If they would have notified us much sooner, you know, by the time we found out, knew about it, our bridge span was completely full. So what we did, working with our staff, working with the police officers, Mexico stated that they would allow the empties to cross into Mexico. So we pretty much held the line at our gate where the globe is, or right off of the Riverbank overpass, and determining which trucks were empty, which ones were loaded. So we were bringing them down our administrative road on one side and also bringing them down the two-way road coming out of the fast lane in the middle. So we had empties coming both ways, and then we were able to finally flush out the empties that are in what you call that holding, which we call it the horseshoe. So pretty much in a matter of a couple hours, we were able to get all the empties going through the bridge, putting them through the left lane, and sending them into Mexico. And then, but we lost communication with Mexico, and then all of a sudden at 10 o'clock, we find out Mexico says bridge is closed, and the bridge is completely packed, you know, as well as all of Loop 20. So yes, there is communication, you know. Miss Limon contacted Mexico at the time when all of a sudden the bridge was full. What's going on? Oh, our system is down. So then,
Oh, by the way.
yeah, by the way, you know, after we already have a full bridge. So in communication, city communicates with customs as well as other parties, as well as police, PIO, to send out the word and everything of what's going on. A lot of times when we have systems go down on Mexico, our police officers notify the truckers, you know, return to your yards. You know, and this one is just, you know, from afternoon till 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, the next morning when it opened up. That, and then we could not release traffic again till 9:30 in the morning because there were still so many trucks sitting on the bridge span.
And the drivers weren't there yet.
Drivers weren't there. When we finally let traffic free at 9:30 in the morning, I think we had 3 trucks on the Mexican side and we had 2 on the US side. But shortly after that, those truck drivers came and moved. So at 9:30 was pretty much the release time to release traffic to head south again. So, but yeah.
Chairman, I would like to make 2 comments. One is whatever system emergency action plan gets proposed, that it doesn't cause unwarranted consequences. Whether it's being known as non-business friendly with an ordinance, or creating havoc with the residents or residential area or hospital. The second thing we might want to discuss is there might be consultants out there that have done this for other border communities. And so I know the city a lot of times will fund a study with an engineering firm or some experts to look at all of the variables and all of the solutions and come up with cost, timing, feasibility, pros and cons. And so that's one thing we may want to discuss.
So, I mean, this went down all across the border. Does the city talk to other cities about what they did? I know they don't have the volume that we do, but there still must have been some havoc in El Paso, McAllen,
No,
Pharr.
it was nationwide.
That's why, I mean, yeah, so they had I mean, they must have had the same problem also.
Yeah.
It was my understanding it was nationwide for Mexico.
Like it was.
But I do not know of
No.
any conversation with any other ports of entry regarding that.
My understanding is that Ms. Limon is the first one that gets the call that the system goes down. Is that true or not?
Yes, correct.
And-
Usually in this case, she contacted Mexico through our WhatsApp group that we have with Mexico and as well as customs and a few other people in the group. And that's because all of a sudden it's our supervisor informed us, you know, traffic hasn't moved in 15, 20 minutes. So right away, Ms. Limon sends out the, you know, everything okay, what's going on?
Okay,
And
so,
then that's when we got the notification.
That was pretty early.
You know,
so traffic control does notify Ms. Livono, hey, this thing is not moving in 20 minutes.
Right.
That happens also.
Our supervisor at World Trade Bridge notified us, and the word got to Ms. Yvonne, and she made contact with Mexico, and that's when they said, system is down nationwide. You know, but we already had a full bridge.
Yeah.
You know, so then and then they came back and said, you know what, send us the empties. So there we were, all the truckers, you know, okay, are you full, are you empty? Okay, come this route, and that's.
See, having,
Already with the platform.
Like, I can't imagine the spaghetti thing you had there.
Like the
that'd be dangerous also for our employees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had PD in front of our lanes assisting us, as well as PD by the Globe, and right there coming over the riverbank overpass. I was even out there on the runway, getting, you know, with our traffic officers and with PD to assist on this as much as possible. But like I said, the bottom line is Mexico, what can they do? What is a contingency plan that they have?
Okay.
That was a
Chairman,
little
I would like to continue that discussion that you mentioned about that land that is there, you know, to look into a possibility to develop, you know, like expand the export lot for trucks only. And maybe companies like Mr. Fernandez can develop a drop and hook system. You know, for certain companies, you know,
Maybe
CityPac.
clients get paid.
No, I mean, just bear with me. So, all that southbound traffic, okay, if you develop that as and have companies, you know, high-end companies that they pressure their carriers to deliver those trailers there, and have transfer company just do a short circuit, you know, develop the same like a mirror lot on the Mexican side, is and just shorten the round trips. You know, if you, of those 7,000 trucks, if we have 1,000, just do that short trip. Balance it out with the northbound, and have the carriers pick it up from there, or drop them off there, and the transfer just do a short circuit.
But the
for the
thing
empties.
is, okay, he just pick up the shipment in the US and drop it off in Mexico. But when he's coming back, he's not coming back empty. He has to come with a load. So the transfer doesn't lose.
I know. I mean, there are companies that have the same amount, or pretty much same balance amount of northbound and southbound, raw material and finished product. Let's have, as an example, let's have Swift drop that trailer there at the export lot, and have the Mexican carrier drop the northbound on the Mexican lot, and the transfer company only gonna do short trips.
And who's gonna be responsible for the
Yeah.
shipments in that export or in that land, or
Jerry's
who's gonna
not here, so
custodian?
maybe a little
and,
more carrier. No, I know. I mean, this is we have to, you know, like Lindgren was saying, you know, have the cities, you know, fund some case study, make it this a business case, and have.
But different than when the system is down.
Yeah,
Just
just to minimize, because, you know, Carlos, ¿cuánto, no sé si lo tengan o no, pero cuánto es el promedio de una vuelta completa de un tractor tuyo? O sea,
Kilómetros o
en kilómetros, o sea, de cuenta, desde que
50.
sale del patio tuyo, del transportista que sea, al transportista americano.
Pues digo, depende, no te los puedo calcular, pero no alcanzo a entender la idea.
Haz de
Tú
cuenta.
dices que ganchar del lado americano, cruzar a México
No,
y
haz de-
desganchar del lado mexicano.
Sí, haz de cuenta que con tu división de transfer, nada más,
Sí.
haga una vuelta, en vez de 50 kilómetros redondos, que sean 5 kilómetros redondos.
O sea, de la parte americana es un patio,
Sí,
recoge ahí.
sí, pero
Y-
las cajas están acá y acá. Tú lo puedes hacer con un camión y regresar, o lo puedes hacer con 2 camiones, pero no hay optimización, o sea,
No,
al
no.
contrario, al desganchar, pierdes, porque esta la va a traer aquí, pero otro camión la va a llevar para acá. O sea, si tú mides los kilómetros, las vueltas que da la llanta son las mismas. Lo único es que estás cambiando camiones y choferes. Y eso en la práctica, lejos de optimizar, te lo hace más
Es que
caro.
el que va a dejar esa caja en ese patio
Es una mula.
es el transportista.
O una
Es-
mula
es el
internacional.
Swift,
¿Y
es
cómo
el-
le vas a
El,
hacer con la carta
transpor-
aporte?
el transportista
La carta
americano.
aporte, el chofer.
Bueno, entonces es el módulo que estaban hablando de Colombia, que el americano iba a manejar, entrar y dejar y luego regresarse.
Haz de cuenta, el americano
El americano no te va a cruzar el puente.
no lo va a cruzar, lo va a dejar en ese terreno que estamos
El
discutiendo
patio
ahorita.
americano.
El patio americano.
El bonded.
Ok.
Sí, ahí la va a dejar. Y los transfer nada más lo van a para ciertos clientes. Hay un perfil de clientes que te da para eso.
Tú a Santa Banal vas a mandar un embarque directo, sin revisar, sin checar sellos,
Pero-
sin nada, al puente y que lo recoja alguien a cruzar.
Obviamente es un patio multiuso, no es nada más ahí a ver quién lo recibe.
No, pero el transportista americano no va a dejar en un patio nomás para que la jalen y la crucen. El material siempre tiene que llegar a una bodega para revisión, inspección. Y,
No lo sé. Es cierto perfil de clientes de bajo riesgo, CityPad, donde hay un ejercicio con una... Haz de cuenta, yo puedo traer un Honda, por ejemplo. Es mínimo lo que le aviso. Y Honda tiene importación y exportación. Entonces, y son 20 cajas diarias, por ejemplo, de importación y otras 20 de exportación. Entonces, le digo a Swift, déjamela aquí, en el export norteamericano, y le digo a Truca, déjamelo aquí en el patio mexicano. Así como tengo tramitadores o despachadores, ahí entregan papeles, y FEMA únicamente hace un circuito de 5 kilómetros.
¿Y quién levanta del lado mexicano?
¿Me vas a cobrar menos?
Ahí va el mismo Truca, lo recoge ahí se lo entrega a otro. Es el long haul.
Entonces nadie va a tener patios. O sea, ese patio va a ser general para
Patio
todos.
comunitario.
Un patio comunitario para ciertos clientes específicos. Y
So that's very
Los acres-
specific to some people. Aquí, let's look at the
I
plan,
know.
because, I mean, what I like to write is your all's opinion, no, to 35, a parking lot, in case you flush them out.
Bueno, pero yo creo que lo que está hablando Luis es diferente a
Sí,
lo
por eso
al-
digo,
al-
sí,
al
eso
plan de
es
contingencia.
un plan para un específico grupo. Aquí vamos a tratar de hacer algo para el plan de emergencia. And then the other one is a time frame. Either 30 minutes, I think 2 hours is too long, maybe shorten the time. But with our ideas is to take it to TxDOT and LPD, and this is our ideas, now make them work, no? Because, I mean, I know the Killam's, the Faskins, and they have properties around World Trade that are in flooded areas and that can be brought up to a parking lot. It just has to be some type of an agreement between the city and the property owners. I mean, I think they could work something out.
Do you know who took over for Tito Gonzalez at Textile here in Laredo?
Humberto Rodriguez?
Roberto.
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 Yeah, Roberto. Yeah, Roberto.
Becky Gonzalez.
Yeah, and they have people that do that run some type of simulations and stuff like that. How many trucks can fit and how many at what period of time and stuff like that. They can run things like that, like how much it's going to get congested in so much time. If it's how long is it going to take to get to 35? 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Once it's halt to a standstill, they can figure that part out. And so we can tell them, look, this is the ideas that we have, make it work.
So, Mr. Chairman, are we in agreement that the cautionary line should be Mines Road and, that red line should be that 35 line? Are we in agreement that should be it? Is that a good suggestion? And I think, in addition to that, there has to be a monitor of the line, right? Mr. Fernandez pointed out the fact that the system could come back and then there's no more line. And who makes the call to say, okay, we're gonna open up these exit ramps and on-ramps again? And then who takes care of the traffic that's deviated onto those access roads to get that congestion out and so that those carriers can return to their yards?
I think that's where we have to include PD, Big Ten, because they're the ones who would have to designate, hey, You know, well, somebody from the city would have to say, hey, police, LPD, this is happening, and then they would have to, from there on boots on the ground, say, all right, like it's flowing now, let's start moving, and we need more units in the area to help deviate the deviated traffic to help, you know, or organize.
But are we in agreement with those limits, the ones that I just mentioned, the Mines Road is a cautionary, and the I-35 corridor as the limit, the absolute drop dead, the red line, if you will, for that particular line? Before somebody makes the call and say, all right, we're shutting down on-ramps and we're exiting,
Because
you know,
it
all
hasn't
existing
moved in,
traffic
it
before and
hasn't
after.
moved in so.
PD does step in, and when the line is getting near 35, and they see the flyovers that are filling up, they shut down those flyovers immediately.
Oh.
So they won't get any more traffic coming to them. And then once traffic starts flowing again and the flyovers are clearing up, they will open up the flyovers again to allow traffic to come through there as well. But they do put a PD vehicle in that area so nobody else will be getting a line for those flyovers for safety reasons.
So whatever recommendation we come up with, that'll be put on the agenda for the next city council meeting, or one of the council meetings as an item to review, or?
Ms. Kimoni and myself will discuss it, and we will talk also with city manager's office, and we go from there.
So it seems some of those things that we're talking about are already in place by PD.
Yes.
I think it's
that is
just
correct.
putting the emphasis on,
Right.
let's avoid that situation again.
It seems like the main concern is to get a contingency plan for Mexico and to notify us.
Well,
Yeah.
there was two things that we squeaked. One was a contingency plan, that they should do a parking lot and let everybody in there, and once the system goes back up, get them out of the compound and start processing it. That was one of the ideas, pero, which I don't think it's gonna fly, we don't know
No.
what. But the other thing that we also mentioned, if I que sepas, is the 240 and the 800 thing of the port of entry. That if you pay a pedimento on Nuevo Laredo, you can cross through either Columbia or any bridge, because there's been incidents that there's gun shootings, whatever, and the guy's already going towards the bridge. All he has to do is just go to Columbia and cross.
Yeah,
And why does-
if the system's not down.
If the system, or
That's a-
if there's an
another
incident on the
issue.
Mexican side, he should go through whichever bridge, because that causes problems, that causes delays when there's something on the Mexican side, or the system, or whatever, he can go through the other bridge. And it doesn't matter which entry the document has, by the time he comes back, you redo the documents, you give it back to him, because it takes forever. I mean, we should shorten that time and just make the decision on the driver, just go to the other bridge, yeah, and he can take off with those papers. Right now, they'll do a penalty, que no sé qué, and the delays, and there's a lock that is put in the system and all that stuff. And
And
we
that-
asked the ambassador. to
and that's
help us
happened
with that
before, right,
also. We asked the ambassador to help us with that also. We wrote everything down, right? Right.
We just got the draft letter from Mr. Karenko for us to review, the letter that's being addressed to.
Just mention them,
The what?
the mission. It's only a few that we work with, the ones that were in DC, but that's one of the suggestions I mentioned on there when the system goes down. To allow contingency plans for, you know, both bridges, to open up one lane to process for the other bridge whenever the system's down.
But, I mean, it doesn't have to be a booth. I mean, they should have just processed it. You already pay that it's gonna go through Nuevo Laredo.
Wait, but listen to what you're saying, you're gonna open up a lane on another bridge to process when the system is down. The system's down
Sorry,
everywhere.
I say, just World Trade Bridge, not
Oh,
national.
you're talking about
Yeah,
like when there's
one
a
bridge,
security issue.
Yeah.
There's a
Okay,
security
okay.
issue
I was like,
over
when the
there.
system's down, the system's
Yeah, let's say
down.
for example, World Trade Bridge or the other bridge,
Yeah.
one or the other, not a national,
The strike people,
semi-contingency plan.
the railroad
those
strike people
strikes.
that was there at the bridge, I mean, go to your.
But like Arturo's trying to broaden it up a little bit, say, hey, keep it open all the time.
Yeah. Or the DOT inspections.
The DOT inspection, I mean, any type of thing that you can actually go to the other bridge and just cross, I mean, why can't you do that? You already processed it through the port, you want to, the only thing that I mentioned was, well, the broker has to have a permit to cross through those bridges. I mean, if you don't have authorization to use Columbia as a port of entry, because you can't go through there. But that was about it, other than that, but yeah, they should
That's not
cross.
hard to get.
I mean, honestly, it's too much traffic to be dealing with, take the papers again, you can't, this is.
Pues sí, pero allá es diferente.
So and he took note and se hizo una carta, so hopefully we can get that done. So any other suggestions for the emergency action plan that we can suggest? I wrote down 35 is the red line, orange is Mines Road, and then.
The other thing that we
parking
talked
lot.
about,
Yes.
Chairman, was, instead of the line being on the loop, going to TAMU and Saunders, somehow finagle the line to be on the access road on 35 South, coming from mile marker 13 towards.
Luis just now mentioned, yeah.
I don't know if everybody agrees with that concept, to investigate of having the line on
The
35
access.
South instead of Loop 20 that ends up going to TAMU.
That's what Luis just now
35,
mentioned. that.
35 north?
Well,
Oh,
could
35
be,
going,
I mean,
going
the
south.
trucks will have to
bridge.
go north and do a U-turn
Yeah.
somewhere to get back on 35
That
South.
southbound access road, 35.
Well, that U-turn would be right there by that bridge overpass on Killam. That's the only one until you go to.
It'll
13.
fill up past there real fast.
Oh, yeah, real fast. They don't have to go down to 13 and then you're gonna jam pack 13.
I think that's a challenge, there's no viable turnaround. I think you'd have to go to, what, the one after, well, shoot, all the way to
Columbia.
Highway 83.
Now, if you're, I mean,
Past-
if we're talking about. going
Past
back to
Carrier
the-
Road, I mean, that's what you're looking at. Marker 18, where the tourist bureau is.
Going
That's the
back,
next viable turnaround.
yeah, going back to the
That seems to
property-
congest too.
To the property of empty properties? If we're talking about property, the Faskins have that big property in front of Expeditors. I mean, if,
But there's, I mean,
they're already developing it, but that would be a prime location for something as a holding.
but there's also like flooded, uneven property around that area, that arroyo things that you can
Can't be
actually
built.
park something there, and they're not gonna build anything there, but it has to be something between the city and the property owners to put a holding facility or a parking facility for trucks. I don't think.
No, if they're not gonna use it, or it's, not feasible to develop it, an tax incentive or something like that for emergency.
And then you put asphalt, just gravel.
Correct.
To have it there because it'll be washed away if there's a flood.
Yep.
Yeah. But, taking into consideration all the discussion we have, how many recommendations are you anticipating putting down?
We just need one.
Yeah, but on top of that, I mean, obviously you wanna get more than one just to sit there and establish that, maybe even throw in there, work with high-level discussion with Mexico to see what they could do, making some statutory changes, but as an option,
Well, Gene said that the ambassador was gonna send a letter to the president, on that issue.
I mean, we heard him say that.
Well, that's what he said. Hopefully, something is gonna happen.
Well, the letter's being developed right now, it's actually for revised right now, but then, that's just one option, like I said, but the other thing, and it mentions the options that we discussed right now, but as an advisory committee, you mentioned the three, how many are we submitting?
We're talking about, well, we're just recommending, no? We're recommending that the orange line would be Mines Road and 35 would be the red. That's as far as that line should go.
Or maybe even adjust that to divert it to, like we said, 35 South.
We all agree, the only thing that is gonna happen, what happened in Colombia, they're gonna block
Yeah.
the restaurants, they're gonna block all the business area. I mean, they're not gonna, like, leave spaces so people can go in and out of there. You have the Monkey Greasy, those people, all those businesses.
That's, if
Burlington.
you keep them
If you keep
further,
them on the access road.
No, I'm saying 35. but-
35.
Yeah. I was talking to Lou,
35.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, 35.
35.
But there is.
Yeah, the line will go north, but on the access
Access
road,
road,
on the side lane.
They'll leave 35 open, but just the actual will be closed.
okay, we
Wait a
can,
minute, that's.
you all agree
the-
with that?
The
He said
access
too,
road,
yeah.
like, let's say, past Shiloh or
Or
the mile,
Going north,
On 35.
going
okay,
north like it went in San Antonio.
uh-huh,
So it's like they're saying to go north and let the line.
Is it Killam? But the one
Okay.
is it Killam? Esa es.
Esa.
Esa. Esa de donde bajas de Killam.
But
Ese
you
es
have,
el access road para
you
los
have up to
35.
10 miles of road, you're talking 5 miles, and then that, once you get to 13, you have the other 5 miles. There's 10 miles of road that you can get that accumulated unless you just wanna stop at 13.
But then you
And I
have the
would
issue.
suggest that we're not recommending, we're suggesting the evaluation of that alternative.
See, as an alternative, instead of sending everybody back, you put them on 35, the access road, going north, but
And, yeah, eventually they'll have to come
Are
back
they gonna
south.
block the access on Killen to the
they
cargo
can
that is
jump.
coming in?
you know, just to form them, to put them in line, in a straight line.
So in other words.
But there's
so
no
no-
businesses there.
So in other words, so in other words, right now, okay, boom, the line's all the way to 35. The police are gonna start shutting down the access roads to be able to get on to that line, to start forming. So they're gonna route everybody around Mines Road, down Mines Road, back to 35, right? 35 shoot north, right? On the access road, there's a bridge.
The first,
The first bridge,
The
where
first
Killam
turnaround
is,
is
and then
where
you turn
Killam.
around and you make line where Buckland is. Buckland, Kalady had those new warehouses.
Yes.
And then once that's full, then they have to hop to 13 and come back and fill up that line all the way to 13, which means you fill up from 8 to 13 on north-southbound, and then 8 to 13 on the northbound.
Yes, but the cargo coming from the north to the warehouses in Killen, are you gonna block that?
no,
Because.
Well, that will block
Uh,
that.
Yes, you have, because if you have been on that access road, there's only one line to go straight to World Trade and one line to turn into the park, into the industrial park.
Yeah, but then,
So that, and then if we make it to that mile marker 13, are you gonna congest more mile 13? Because we are gonna make it all the way there, so.
yeah, but in that case, maybe even a suggestion there, just do one line so you can keep the other line open. So it allows one free space, and then you're talking about a 10-mile line because you got, 8 to 13, and then from 13 to 18.
Now, that sounds like a very manpower full issue there, I mean, for PT, like,
Well, look where we're at right now. I mean, it's just an option, it's just a suggestion, and like I said, to get the study out there. We're not saying they have to do it, it's just an option.
it's an
yeah,
option.
no,
and-
I know, yeah.
And you won't have people stuck there because normally you don't have cars roaming.
And on top of that, we're not talking it all the time, it's just when it's down.
When it's down for the longest time.
Yeah.
For the long-
Let it be that the contingency truck route into Mexico.
So that would be your,
Is that,
your
everybody agree with that?
horseshoe within the bridge, that's gonna be your horseshoe. It's gonna be your horseshoe that goes all the way up to 13 and back.
Up to 18, we'll use up to 18, that's 10 miles right there.
That would help if a Char-Ruthinger Road would be open, but.
Then again, everybody knows, don't get on the access road 35 because there's gonna be a lot of trucks there. That's where they're gonna park them. So everybody's gonna know.
Just like they used to form a single line on Mines Road, before they threw them onto the loop,
Yeah.
they would make one line. The farthest right line would be the line to get to the bridge, right? That's what they're gonna have to do on the access road.
Right now, I was thinking about it back when I first started, back in the 90s, the line would go down Santa Maria all the way down, or I-35.
The access road would just have to be one, and it's 5 miles that way and 5 miles the other way.
So once it hits 35, then we do that.
That's a good suggestion.
It's just a suggestion.
I think that's a good suggestion, but then it's up to them to do the studies and move forward with that. It's just, we're offering something.
En Del Mar, en Chilo, en Tamiyu, en el aeropuerto.
Well, the enforcement, that's where you get the police out there anyway, because otherwise they're stranded anyway.
But no, somebody has to take care of it.
And
Anything else?
if Robert Morris was here, I'll go ahead and tell you,
Make us
there'll be 75 trucks per mile. Each truck takes 70 feet.
Say,
75,
Trucks per mile.
18
bumper to
wheelers.
bumper, yeah. And
18
so
wheelers.
10 miles would be 750 trucks.
Yeah, but in addition to that, you're also telling the people, hold on to your trucks, you know, and those are the people that just aren't listening, they get in the line.
But that's nothing, that's still nothing. I mean, think about it.
I'd say that's down 24 hours. I mean, we're talking, usually like Carlitos right now joke is, it'll be every week for an hour or two, but that's it, every Friday.
every Friday, they know where to park. Any other suggestions? Because we're already at the hour and 5 minutes.
Is that enough to put something together?
Well,
Yeah.
we can, these are our suggestions, unless you have anything else, you can always.
You know, and just like Gene said earlier, Andrew sent us a letter, and you're copying that thing, you could probably use some of those suggestions as well.
Thank you. Next item, update on the bridge master plan and any other incidents there.
Chairman, members of the committee, I spoke in regards to this with Ms. Yvonne, and I checked things. We have nothing on this year's budget regarding the master plan, but we do have a plan for the fiscal year that's for 24, 25. But as this, in our current fiscal year will end September 30th. So we have already started our budgeting process for the next fiscal year, and it'll be on that budget.
Do you have an amount of it?
I don't have that number off the top of my head, no, sir.
Okay, because you have like 100, and just kidding. It was good terms, yeah. Just kidding. Alrighty, pues I'll write that down and we'll see
Okay.
what we can do with that.
Yes,
How
sir.
we can get some money to get that master plan as soon as possible. Because we only have like 10 years to build another bridge, a new bridge. Discussion with possible action regarding insufficient funds on the U-turns and any other matters incident there too.
I did give y'all some handouts. I know Councilmember Pettis was asking for if she could have some kind of chart on insufficient funds. So, we did prepare a quick one from June of 2021 when we started to February of 24 that just finished. And this is charting out the number of actual U-turns on World Trade Bridge only, where you could see the high was way back in March of 22, and that was at 572. So it gives you a monthly indication of how many U-turns we had at bridge number 4. So I wanted to present that. She was talking about replenish as well. I gave you another chart that we've been giving every month. Basically, looking at it to kind of give you a quick summary, commercial, we have 5,015 commercial accounts with the bridge system, and of those 515, we have 1,336 accounts that are on auto replenish. Now, another piece of the puzzle to look at, we're talking about insufficient funds U-turns that show February of 2024. On the back page is Columbia Bridge. On this here, on the breakdown, not including the 133 accounts that had one U-turn, but looking at the ones that had 2 or more U-turns, there is 52 accounts there, 50 accounts, if I'm not mistaken, and of those 50 accounts, only 12 of those had auto replenish. We're currently with our vendor right now trying to figure out ways to determine and enhance our system to better our reports, our toll system, things of that nature, to give you better information on, but we're tweaking it at this moment with our vendor to see what other kind of reports we can get out there to make it more beneficial to all of us.
I like to see the top 3 accounts be on obligated that they had to have a credit card. I think
last meeting, before I made my motion, I wanna make sure Carlitos wasn't number 1, 2, or 3, man, but that being said, I think I made a motion to increase the amount, I believe Gene seconded, to, what's the current amount?
100, I think it's
100,
100,
yeah.
we doubled it.
And
Right.
so, yeah, so just to make sure, hey, you know, you guys already being violators, you gotta sit there and, pay the price for an additional amount because you guys aren't, protecting the law. Either that or like Arturo says, you know, hey, I know that we tried it before, but, you know, they can't mandatorily put them on credit card, you know, requirements. But
Yes.
a
If
stiffer
you-
penalty, I think would kinda help out.
Right, if you do see the minutes of last meeting, yes, a motion was made to increase the U-turn fee to $100 in the future if this activity continues.
But-
This would be something that we would need to get together and present it to the,
council.
Yeah, but because it wasn't on the minutes, we couldn't move forward on it, so now
Yeah,
I'd
we
like to
couldn't.
re-motion.
Because it wasn't on the agenda.
Yeah, so I'd like to move forward again and
Make a motion.
make the motion again and impose a $100 penalty, for the repeat offender, well, problem, man.
For everybody, yeah.
Well, we made a motion to increase it to $100 and it was seconded and
Yeah, but we
In
didn't
the
vote on
way
it.
it
it
was
was voted,
voted,
it was voted on 12-0.
the way it was worded is if the U-turn continues,
If activity continues.
Yeah.
Should we remove the if activity continues? To increase it, period?
Yeah, 'cause I think it'll immediately reduce the fact that, you know, they're having $100, people start, you know, hey, I'm paying so much, I'm losing my profit, you know?
Well, if you wanna redo the motion, go ahead and redo the motion, and we'll recycle it just the way we did it, and vote
So,
against.
what am I taking off?
No, well, just to increase the fee to,
I just make a motion increase, make an adjustment to my motion that we already voted on to increase the fee to $100, just flat across the board.
And if you don't mind, as amended could be, it is anticipated that the U-turns will not be decreasing, right? I mean,
Yes.
we don't have to wait 2 or 3 months to find out that the U-turns have
It's
not
gonna
gone
happen.
down, because they're not gonna go
They're
down.
not, well, you know, we got to the point where we're at stagnant, you know, those guys there are continued repeat offenders, so we should make a recommendation to double the fine, $100, and take consideration, we've made $350,000, I think it's a profitable business, then, that's all. I think we should make that motion to increase it to $100 for a re-amendment motion to $100, because of the continued fact that there's repeat offenders.
Second, anybody?
Second.
Second by Mr.
100.
Hinojosa.
Pero no se
Any
afecta a ti,
discussion?
¿verdad?
Any discussion?
A todos.
no.
¿Quieres decir algo de eso?
No, no, a $100 lo vas a aumentar.
Sí, le van a subir la
No quiere
multa.
más.
Sí.
25, 50, ahora 100.
Pues sí. Le va a afectar obviamente al que no tenga cuidado de tener los fondos y le va a beneficiar a muchos que están en la fila. Creo que entre suma y resta, pues va a ser más el beneficio. ¿Sí?
Anybody else?
No, nomás resaltar de que
This
aprobamos
is the
esa,
reason why.
porque los números desde marzo del año pasado se han mantenido, no ha habido un efecto positivo, se han mantenido en promedio, pues tenemos que subirle.
It's not deterrent. What about the suggestion, Mr. Chairman, about the credit card? Has that been tried?
We tried that when we initially started, but the thing about it, they can't be mandatory.
Yeah,
They
Ms.
cannot do it
Limon,
mandatory, so that's already been suggested.
Ms. Limon mentioned, right, that we couldn't make them use the credit card, or force them to.
Okay.
They can't force them, even for the top three, tampoco.
Yeah.
We cannot make it mandatory, but we're seeing what we're doing, we're making phone calls to these people and making recommendations. So we can set them up on auto replenish, so this won't happen to them.
What steps do we have to take to change any kind of requirements to make it mandatory? How can we do that?
As far as I understand, the last time when this was brought up, as you know, it was notified from legal that we
Yeah.
cannot make it mandatory.
It's like making everybody pay their water bill on a credit card. You can't, because people can walk up and pay.
Yeah, but this is
cash.
commercial, there's always the different requirements for commercial and taking into consideration the time loss. It's just, maybe we can look into that, see if there's any possible alternative to make some kind of statutory changes to see if we can go ahead and force the commercial traffic only.
Or prepayments or something like
Prepayment.
that. But I'll make the call. All those in favor to increase to $100?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Any opposed? Zero.
Oye,
Mírale, siempre lo ponemos a votación.
Vamos a ver.
Se van a caer la señor Fernández, tú eres el que estás ahí.
Any other business, Mr.
Yes, Mr. Chairman,
Awesome.
I do have something that was brought up to my attention just today, is that CBP is having, at least at leadership level, having internal discussions for the suggestion of adding additional primary lanes. Kind of strategically, what they're suggesting is a primary row of primary lanes and then have two additional or adjacent secondary primary lanes, if you will. Allowing space in the middle for the main primary, like those 12 lanes to go through. And obviously increasing the number of exit gates to fall in line with the bridge expansion. Because they're just afraid that, you know, with the continued growth, with the sustained growth that we have in volume year to year, the infrastructure within the import lot also needs to increase. So I know that's not on the agenda, but that maybe we can talk about it further as we learn more. So
Is there any way you can invite them so that we can see some type of
yeah, I can try.
design or graph or something that what they're intending so that we can recommend council to help out?
Yes, and ideally, and what's also a part of it is, if y'all have been there, there's what they call a bat cave. About eliminating that because it provides, it's currently a safety hazard for the inspectors, and especially when, you know, during the hot weather, it's just, you know, breathing in the toxins of the exhaust and the heat, and essentially, officers don't like the bat cave concept of checking on top of the trailer in case there's, you know, goods there that if they suspect something, they'd rather just send them to the x-rays, right? But to eliminate that altogether, create more space, because invariably what you're doing is sending them after the primary lanes into 2 lanes. And so eliminating it completely, and obviously looking at the total number of exit gate lanes to double. I'm not really sure what the number is, but I think it's from 6, they're suggesting to 12. And primary lanes from currently 12 to up to 26 lanes, 26 lanes.
Thank you. So you can help, you can invite them?
Sure, I mean, I could try.
We would
When
appreciate
If they're
it.
willing to.
our next meeting?
And that's the next item on the agenda, schedule, April 17th. Ahora sí en la mañana, 10 o'clock,
Kristen,
10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, whatever.
What day?
when is the national?
Wednesday?
April the 17th would be the second Wednesday, just like today.
The second Wednesday is all the way to the 17th.
No,
third.
it's third Wednesday.
The third
17 is the
one.
third Wednesday. 10 is the
The
second.
10th is the second, the third Wednesday is the 17th.
Sorry. So you want?
For me, it's better at 17, but
Para la junta.
Del POP, ¿esa junta?
17, okay? Or
Me,
or
the
you all
17
want
is-
to?
okay.
For me, 17 is perfect.
¿Qué día dijo?
17,
De abril.
April the 17th.
Mhm.
We'll be, I'll be at a conference, an NCBFA conference on the
Ah,
17th.
that's the conference thing, Florida.
Me too.
And I think that several of us will be there.
April the 24th? Ouch.
If it's not in the morning, I think it works, because in the morning it's the association meeting usually, Los Boques.
Ah, sí.
For the 24th?
Yeah, on the
April
24th.
4 to 6.
No, pues esta hora.
Well, why don't
It
we
can
do
be-
it that
it can
day
be
in the
11.
in the afternoon?
11 or afternoon.
That's true.
Pero la hora no es mejor a esta hora.
Bueno, pues
Unos quieren la mañana, otros quieren la tarde.
¿Quién quiere en la mañana? ¿Cuántos son?
On the 24th in the afternoon, or
entonces 17 no.
¿El 11?
¿El 11?
11 jueves,
I don't think I'm not here.
¿No estás aquí?
Yo el 11 no estoy.
jueves,
No sé tampoco.
Ok, entonces,
24.
el
I
24
think
es el
the
de la
24 is-
asociación.
Pero en la
Que sea-
mañana, but we can do it in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Like today.
24 y 24?
¿Sí?
24.
You got it
April
ready?
the 24th.
Everything ready?
I think the afternoon works better for a lot of us, but
April the 24th at 6
You all have a
p.m.
different definition of afternoon than I do. I call this evening.
evening, well, yeah, evening.
Okay, that's,
A las 6, ¿verdad?
You will send a confirmation, right? On this
by
one?
Mr.
Second.
Gonzalez, second by Mr. Laurel.
24 de abril.
All those in favor for the meeting April 24th
Aye.
at 6 p.m.?
Aye.
Okay,
Motion adjourned.
motion to adjourn, second. Jerry Gonzalez, motion. Monica Salinas, second. All those in favor? I don't think everybody's in.
Congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Sharon, congratulations.
Congratulations, Rick. Sorry.
Motion on adjournment?